Psalm 15, verse 1 to 5, presents a question and answer. David asks, who may dwell with the Lord and who may abide in his holy hill? The psalm describes a righteous person whose character reflects God's holiness. Read in light of the completed work of Christ and the fulfillment of God's covenant purposes. This passage reveals both the perfection God requires and the provision he himself has made. Lord, who shall abide in thy tabernacle? Who shall dwell in thy holy hill? David asks, who can live in God's presence? Under the Old Covenant, access to God was limited. The tabernacle and the holy hill pointed to God's dwelling among his covenant people, but barriers remained because of sin. The greater reality was fulfilled in Christ. He became the true meeting place between God and humanity. The earthly sanctuary anticipated a greater and lasting dwelling of God with his people. The question is no longer who can earn entrance, but who has been brought near through the faithfulness of Christ. God's people are his living temple, enjoying continual fellowship with him. Psalm 15, verse 2. He that walketh uprightly and worketh righteousness and speaketh the truth in his heart. The standard is absolute integrity. Walking uprightly and working righteousness describe a life without fault. Speaking truth in the heart reaches beyond outward actions to inward purity. No one perfectly met this standard except Christ. He fulfilled the righteousness that the law demanded. Those united with him share in his righteousness and are transformed from within. The qualities described here become the fruit of a new creation rather than the means of obtaining acceptance with God. Psalm 15, verse 3. He that backbiteth not with his tongue, nor doeth evil to his neighbor, nor taketh up a reproach against his neighbor. The righteous person controls his speech and treats others with love and respect. Slander, gossip, and malicious accusations destroy relationships and communities. The kingdom established by Christ is characterized by reconciliation rather than condemnation. Since believers have received mercy, they are called to extend mercy. The tongue becomes an instrument of grace because the heart has been renewed. Psalm 15, verse 4. In whose eyes a vile person is contemned, but he honoreth them that fear the Lord. He that sweareth to his own hurt, and changeth not. This verse speaks of discernment and faithfulness. Evil is not celebrated, while those who honor God are respected. Integrity is shown by keeping one's promises even when doing so is costly. Christ perfectly embodied these qualities. He remained faithful to his Father's will despite suffering and death. His followers are called to reflect that same steadfastness, valuing truth and faithfulness above personal convenience. Psalm 15, verse 5. He that putteth not out his money to usury, nor taketh reward against the innocent. He that doeth these things shall never be moved. The psalm concludes with practical examples of justice and compassion. Exploiting the needy or accepting bribes corrupts the community God intended for his people. The promise that such a person shall never be moved ultimately points to the security found in God's covenant faithfulness. The believer's stability does not rest upon personal perfection, but upon the unshakable kingdom established through Christ. What could not be fully realized under the Old Covenant has become a present reality through his finished work. Conclusion. Psalm 15 reveals God's perfect standard for those who dwell in his presence. Every requirement finds its perfect fulfillment in Christ, who walked uprightly, worked righteousness, spoke truth, loved his neighbor, remained faithful, and established justice. The psalm also points beyond the earthly sanctuary to God's enduring dwelling with his people. The holy hill is no longer merely a physical location, but the covenant community gathered in the presence of God. Those who belong to Christ stand secure, not because of their own merit, but because they share in his righteousness and participate in his unshakable kingdom. Psalm 15 invites believers to see both the sufficiency of Christ's work and the transformed life that naturally flows from abiding in God's presence. The one who dwells with the Lord is not striving to gain acceptance, but living out the reality of an acceptance already graciously given.